what's up? Zero here. Got a game of Domination on launch today. I'm using the MPL. Got a little bit tired of playing with the assault rifles and wanted to move around a little bit more, which I've been having fun doing lately, so thought I'd pick up a machine gun or submachine gun, and I don't know, I didn't want everybody pissed off because I was using the 74U, so I decided to use probably a gun that I think's equal. The MPL. I think I have a little bit more advantage on this game because I have host, as you can tell by the great hit detection that I have with this throughout the match. But I'm not even really going to be talking about that today. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I think affects a lot of gamers, and that's overcoming social anxieties and, you know, getting over the shyness. I know for me that was a huge ordeal in my life. I grew up an only child, kind of out in the country, so there weren't all that many people around, and as a result I just developed a crippling shyness as a young person. Still kind of with me to this day, but it's getting a lot better. I've got into a lot of bad situations even growing up because I was so introverted. People thought that I was stuck up and didn't want to talk to them, and that I thought I was better than them and stuff, and that got me into a few pretty bad situations. And later on in my life, some of those people finally got to know me, and they realized, and they even told me that they thought that I was stuck up in that way. And then once they got to know me, they just found out that I was really incredibly shy, and it's something that I probably should work on to, you know, make the rest of my life better. So I kind of set out to doing that. So I'm going to talk about some ways to do that today, and hopefully maybe some people can use it to make their life easier. I know for me, and I think it's probably this way in the most cases, my shyness came from just lack of self-esteem and lack of self-confidence. I don't know where it started in my life. I had pretty good family and everything, but somehow I just got the feeling in my life that I wasn't as important as other people, and what I had to say nobody really cared about, so I just mainly tended to stay quiet. I lived by the motto that it's better to say nothing and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. I somehow thought that people would think everything that I had to say was dumb or didn't really apply. I think mainly that had to do with spending a lot of time as an only child by myself. I probably just didn't know how to relate to other people and didn't know how to talk about the same things that they were talking about. Didn't really develop along the same lines that they developed, so kind of a lack of understanding contributed a lot, and I think maybe that's a big case for a lot of people as well. A lot of people I know that tend to be shy tend to be some of the more intelligent people, but yet they have the self-esteem where they don't want to say anything because people are going to think that they're dumb, and they just don't want to cast themselves in a negative light, so they tend to stay quiet, even though they're the ones that should be heard because they have the informed opinions. I think that's pretty common throughout all society. It seems like the people that are the loudest and the people out there making their voices heard are usually the ones that are the least informed, but everyone listens to them just because they make the most noise. But I'm going to spare that for a different discussion because that has to do more with my thoughts on society and less with my thoughts of, you know, getting over introversion. One of the big things for me was finally coming to the realization that I'm not all that different than everyone else. I mean, sure, I have all these doubts and all these fears, but for the most part, everyone else on Earth has those too. And a lot of the thing that drives some of the most loud, outspoken people isn't the fact that they think they're right. It's the fact that if they are loud enough and outspoken enough and make enough noise that they think no one's going to argue with them simply because they don't have as strong of an opinion. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, they just are insecure about being wrong too. They just go about protecting themselves in a different way. So once you realize that you're on equal footing with everyone else, it kind of takes away some of that power that you perceive that they have over you. You start seeing things as more on an equal ground, and more you have just as much to contribute as they do, and sometimes even more. But you can't get carried away with that and start thinking that, you know, I have more to contribute, I'm smarter, I'm better than this, because then you just become a dick. There's a very thin line between being confident and being a dick, and a lot of people just don't know how to walk that line and manage it correctly. And a lot of the thing that kept me back from building confidence and everything was not wanting to be a dick like those people. I thought if I walked around and I was confident, then I'd be acting like them, and you still have to retain a certain sense of modesty to be a good person and to have a good life. Since I've grown up, I've met some people that have been like that. They even freely admit that they were like that growing up, and they regret it, and they've finally learned to come back the other way, and now they're very well-balanced people, and we get along just fine. But overall, being confident and being sure of yourself doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. It just means that if you're confident and you're sure, then, you should speak up. And a lot of times, that's all it takes, is speaking up 1 or 2 times, and people start to see that you have something valuable to say, and pretty soon, before you know it, you're getting a lot more respect in life. And I guess that brings me to my next point, is don't be afraid to go for what you want and ask for what you want. Because if you never bother to ask or make it known what you're going for, you're going to miss out on a lot of the opportunities and a lot of the help that a lot of other people get. So it's not necessarily a bad thing ever to ask for help. I mean, if it's something that you're entirely capable of doing yourself, you don't want to ask for help on that. But if you're having difficulty, by all means, don't be afraid to ask for help. If anyone's going to look down on you for that, then they're probably not the kind of people you want to be around in the first place. And that's a pretty good way of weeding out people in your life that are only going to tear things down. If the people in your life only want to take from you and never give anything back, then, that's all they're ever going to do. Whereas if you find somebody who will help you when you need help and will listen to your input and take what you have to say into account, then that's the type of person you want to be around in life. And sitting around being shy and never finding out is, just destructive. Eventually you'll only end up with people around you that are looking to take advantage of you because, you're an easy target. And one thing I've noticed growing up is there always seems to be a distinction between the popular kids and everyone else. But really, the only reason that the popular kids are popular are because they've gone out and they've made those connections and they have people willing to help them. And if you go out and make connections and have people willing to help you, before you know it, you have popularity as well. It might not be with the same group of people. You might have nothing in common with them, but just because it's not with that group doesn't mean you're not popular. And you never know, it could even lead to being popular within the popular crowd, so to speak, because, like I said before, most of those people are just as insecure as anyone else, and a lot of them might be wondering, hey, why is this person not talking to me? They must be weird. They must think they're better. And, all it takes is one good conversation with someone, and maybe helping them when they're in need of help, maybe asking them for help, and you never know. You could make a lifelong friend with one of the least likely people that you ever thought you'd even talk to. I know Hollywood likes to portray the us versus them mentality and the popular kids versus the rejects and all those movies and stuff, but it's a little bit true at times, but for the most part, in life, you're going to find a lot of the people that you end up lifelong friends with, you're complete opposites. Some of my best friends I have very little in common with personality-wise, but because of that, we make a great team because where they're weak, I have strengths, and where I'm weak is where their strengths are. And we have just enough of overlap in the middle that we end up being just great friends. I think that's true about my best friends in life. I know, they seem to be some of the most outgoing people I've ever met. But anyway, it looks like the video is kind of winding down here, so I guess I better start wrapping things up. To summarize, really, to start going out and breaking out of shyness, all you have to do is open yourself. Most of the time, it's not the fact that other people are closing you out, it's that somehow you're closing them out. So don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to give your opinion. Just because you have an opinion and you're standing up and making yourself heard doesn't mean you're an asshole. It just means that you're contributing. And if you start contributing more, then people are going to start listening more. And if you end up being right a lot, then you're going to earn a lot of respect with those people because you're going to be someone who's valuable to have around and someone that is needed by the community. They're going to start respecting you, and people are going to start asking you for your opinion. And that's always a good thing. So, I could probably talk about this forever and ramble on because there's so many different aspects, but I guess I'm out of time, so if you like what I have to say and you want to hear more, then feel free to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. I'll try to answer any comments that are made. Who knows, even subscribe, I guess. Yeah, no pressure on that.